What's up guys, Kenan here from E39 Source with the 2001 E39 525, and clearly this is not my car. We're instead working today on Razvan's 1999 540, and today we are going to be replacing the radiator. The tools required to do this job will be a flat blade screwdriver, BMW fan clutch removal tools, a hand pump or electric pump of some kind, and then disposal containers to put coolant into, as well as possibly a catch pan, a 3/8 drive ratchet, a 6-inch extension, and 8 and 10 millimeter sockets. And those are all of the tools you'll need to complete this task.
The first step, as with any job relating to the cooling system, will be to drain out as much coolant as you can from the system. You do this by removing your expansion tank cap and just using your pump to pump out as much coolant as you can from the expansion tank. If you have cooling issues with your car or it's leaking somewhere, there may not be a whole lot in here, but go ahead and pump out as much as you can. The next step will be to remove the radiator drain plug, which is located on the driver's side of the radiator, straight down. It is on the very bottom. It is blue. Just take a pair of needle nose pliers and twist relatively hard to the left, and it will come off. Now, if your car has a belly pan, you need to go ahead and remove that. If it does not, then it will be a very easy process. You'll be able to see the plug, no problem. It is not entirely necessary that you drain the radiator. It just means that it will leak from the two spots where the radiator hose connect to it, and it will weigh a little more because there'll be liquid in it. I would recommend that you drain it, although it is not entirely necessary.
Alright, so this process is not especially difficult. We're going to begin by unhooking the top of the radiator hose here. It is very easy to do. It's one of my favorite designs on this car. All you do is take a flat blade screwdriver in here and just pry up a little bit to release this clip, and then just wiggle it back and forth. You do not have to remove the clip entirely from this housing. It is held captive. All you need to do is pop it up and move it off just a little bit. Be careful, a little bit of fluid will come out of here, but not very much. Your next step is going to be to remove the fan. The fan clutch bolt is right there. It's a 32 millimeter bolt. If you have the special BMW tools, it makes it very easy to remove. Otherwise, you're going to need to make one, which I don't recommend. You can pick these up for $35 off of eBay. They come, as we found out here on E39 Source, to be of great use, so I highly recommend getting some. But all you have to do is hook this onto the open-ended wrench onto the fan, determine the orientation of the bolts on the water pump. Sometimes you have to just kind of mess around and figure out which end loops and where. But once you've done that, all you're going to do is hook it on and turn the bolt to the driver's side of the car because it is reverse threaded. And once you've broken it loose, you can then spin the fan and it will back that bolt right off. And then carefully remove the fan from the car. Be careful not to clip this upper radiator hose, and then set that off in a dry safe location. To gain further access, we're going to remove the engine air filter and the box that it all sits in. It's very easy. As you can see, Mr. Shorts is just unplugging this lead here. Just to press and pull, it will come off. And then he's unscrewing this band clamp and just sliding that off of the top of the engine. And then undoing these clips just with a flathead screwdriver, and it should lift right off and will give us a little bit more space to play with. There's also a 10 millimeter bolt that you're going to need to remove. We recommend using a 6-inch extension, but once you have that done, it should be very easy to go ahead and remove the housing and the tubing for the air filter. The next step, once you have this whole unit kind of stationed out of the way, we could not get this off, this lower little hose off, so we didn't want to stress it, so we're just setting it off to the side. The engine is cool, so we're not really worried. You can go ahead and remove the lower radiator hose. Now this is going to be full of coolant, so what you're going to want to do is once you have this up and you start wiggling it back and forth, if you're worried about your garage floor, then definitely put something down and have paper towel ready to catch it, but angle it up as fast as you can, and then take the hose from the pump that you're using to drain the expansion tank, put it in there, pump out as much coolant as you can, and then you can kind of gently set that off to the side. Now that you kind of have these hoses taken care of, it's time to concern yourself with removing the fan shroud. So what you need to do first is remove this bleeder plug. Just take a flathead screwdriver and work it out, and it will come right off. Very simple. Next step is going to be to remove these pop rivets. If you have a pop rivet tool, that from our experience has been the best tool to use. Just get under there, get it up a little bit, and then you can begin to work it out. There's another one also on the other side right here. You kind of just work those two out and set them off in a safe, dry location. Okay, so once you've removed the drain plug, you need to then remove this little clip. It sits in here like this and sits right flush against the expansion tank. Just depress these two clips, pull it out, and the expansion tank will separate it, revealing this hose that runs across the top of the radiator. Now, the previous owner of this car was relatively smart and replaced these band clamps that come on here, these little crush clamps, with standard hose clamps with little screws. I recommend that you do that. You can go ahead and use the OEM BMW part with little crushers, but for future problems, as 540s are known to have many cooling issues, I would highly recommend you replace them with standard band clamps. But go ahead and undo both of these, the one on this side and the one on that side. Once you've removed that hose, you then need to remove this last hose from the expansion tank. It comes from BMW with a standard hose clamp. Just take a flathead screwdriver and back that off. Once you have that done, then you can remove the expansion tank. It sits in two little grooves. If you move the light over here, thank you very much. There are two little grooves that it sits in here on the fan shroud. You can just remove it from that and then set it off to the side.
Then you'll be able to pull the fan shroud out with the tank out.
That's correct. The next step, once you have the fan shroud moved out of the way, is to go ahead and start to remove the radiator. There are two 8mm bolts, one located here, the other located on the opposite side. Go ahead and back those out. So those in a safe, dry location, and we can begin to work the radiator out. The final step before you pull the radiator out of the car will be to disconnect the second half of the lower radiator hose. You can remove the coolant temperature sensor, simply pull and unplug, set that off to the side, and then it's the same as the top part. There's a little metal clip here, pry it up, wheel it out, and there'll probably still be coolant in there. So again, this is a messy job. That will probably come out. If you've drained enough out of here, you might not have any. If the car's low on it, you might not have any. But there'll probably be just a little bit residing in there. And then of course there's going to be some in the radiator that will pour out as well. Okay, so just some quick advice, just looking at my E39 525. I apologize for the dark lighting. I don't have a whole lot of light in my garage, and there's a hood above me. So what we did is we kind of angled this side a little bit more, got it pointed a little bit like this, and then pulled it straight up. And you can do that by, pulling up on the radiator and then sort of rotating it towards the engine, and then pull it out of the car. It is very easy, and when you go to put the new one back in, you will feel it slide in right along the guides. It sits very firmly right up against the front of the car. Like I said, you will know when it is in place because it will not rock back and forward very much. So it is very easy to put it in, but getting it out is a bit tricky. It took a little bit of wrestling, but if you're patient and you just kind of get the right angle on it, it will come out without very much trouble.
Lower the new radiator into place, and then we're going to connect it in two places. At first, we have these little hands that hold it in the front. They're 8mm bolts. It's going to fit down, kind of stop going down as it hits its resting position. It does seem to line up very well. Then we're going to replace the hose that goes from that bottom corner into, what would that be, the thermostat. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to line that up and then press the metal clip back in. It should be nice and tight if you do it right.
Okay, with the car all buttoned up and back together, you can go ahead and start to put coolant back in. Put it in intravenously, fill up the expansion tank as much as you can, open the bleeder screw, the level will go back down again. Keep filling it up until it levels off. Then put the bleeder screw on, put the top on, start the car, pull the top off, it'll go down again, put more and more in, again with the bleeder screw open. Keep checking it back and forth. And then run the car, go out and drive it, let it get up to temperature. And then over the next couple of days, keep checking the level to make sure that the coolant is properly leveled. Also, when you turn the car on, make sure to turn it on with heat all the way up to full and fans also set to full, just to circulate it through the heater core. Aside from that, you should be done. Continue to check for leaks along the bottom of your belly pan or on your garage floor if you don't have a belly pan. And just keep an eye on your radiator and you should be good to go. If you have any questions, please make sure to put them in the comments below. And thank you guys very much for watching, and we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.